Hi, Noah. Hi, Natalie. Welcome, guys. We'll wait a few minutes while people get in. I'm trying to figure out some tech stuff here for myself. Bear with me. Well, welcome, everybody. Oh, thank you. I just took a shower. That's probably why. Trying to figure out my positioning here. I guess this will have to work. There we go. All right, welcome, welcome. Gonna wait for a few more people to get in here, and then I'm gonna officially get started, but thank you for coming. What is everybody up to today? Put in the comments. Hey, Sarah. Ooh, hearts. All right, so more people are getting on. Please comment and say hi when you get in here, please. I want to say hi back to you. Oh, cleaning, fun. Yeah, I was doing that today too. Okay, I think I will go ahead and get started. There will be some more people coming in and out, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you guys all for coming to my relaunch party. This is a relaunch for the Bear Gap Rebels, which I have right here. I flipped my camera this time, so you guys should be able to actually read. Can you actually read what this says, or does it look backwards? Because last time it was backwards. So comment, let me know if it's right side so that you guys can read it. That was what I was going for this time, excuse me. But anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the launch party. Thank you guys all for coming. First things first, and I will remind you a couple times throughout this live here, but first things first, oh, you can read it. Okay, good. So I got that right. First things first is I am running a contest, not a contest, it's a giveaway through the launch party here today. So if all you have to do to enter the contest is, or giveaway, sorry, is comment down below. So just put a comment, you can just say hi, you can say anything you want, and if you comment, you will be entered into the giveaway. And the giveaway is, the winner will get a signed, sorry, this flipping of the camera is making it backwards for me. Putting in a comment, you can win a signed paperback copy of the Bear Gap Rebels. So go ahead and please put a comment down. Thank you, Natalie. It's not backwards for you either. Okay, perfect. So please comment. You will be entered. You can comment at any point through the live party, but as long as you comment, I will put your name into a bowl, and you'll be in the drawing for that paperback copy of the Bear Gap Rebels. Second thing, as we get into this, is please go, if you have not yet, please go buy a copy of this book. So as many sales as I can get through this live party, that will boost my rank, particularly on Amazon, which will help me to basically sell more books in the future. So it's a little thing, but as many people that go and actually buy the book during this live party actually is a huge benefit to me. So it seems kind of obvious, but we are at a book launch party, so go ahead and go buy. The Kindle version of the Bear Gap Rebels is only 99 cents right now. So even if you just go and buy that 99-cent copy, that boosts its algorithm, which really helps me. And oh, hi Dawn, thanks for coming. So yes, so please comment so you can be put in the giveaway, and please go ahead and go buy the book. But moving forward, that was just a little housekeeping thing. We are going to talk about, so first things first is, why am I doing this relaunch party? So if you were at my relaunch for the Sacrifice of One, I did explain this, but I'll just give a quick, like, so that everybody's on the same page kind of thing of why I'm doing this again. So right now I have, this is my Camilla Crim series, okay? So there's 3 books in the series right now I'm going to show you. And this book came first. This is the book I wrote first and came first. So I originally had this book, The Faintly Beating Heart, as book number 1 in the series, and then this was book number 2, and then this was book number 3. And after a lot of contemplation and prayer, honestly, hi Ashley, or Ashlyn, I'm sorry, thank you for coming. After a lot of thinking and contemplation and stuff, I finally decided that this book, which was originally book number 1, I turned it into basically a prequel, because that's really what it is. It's very short, and it happens 12 years in the timeline before the real series starts. So I decided to kind of basically rearrange the order of things, and so because of that, I decided to relaunch these books. Also, when I had written these books originally, I really didn't do much of a launch, like, at all. I think I did like one, like, hey, I wrote a book sort of thing, but I didn't really do a launch. So that is the big story of why we're relaunching. So because of that change in the order, this book became book number 1, and then this book became book number 2. So if you've heard all of that before, if you read my blog, then you already know that, so I'm sorry for all the repeat, but I'm just bringing everybody up to speed. And hi Ashley, so I got it right that time. Ashlyn and Ashley, thank you guys for coming. And so in June, I did a relaunch of book number 1 in this series, which is The Sacrifice of One. Today, we are relaunching The Bear Gap Rebels. Another thing I did, why I'm relaunching, is this book was previously only available on Amazon, and it is now available on Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple Books. So kind of, increase the distribution, things like that. Also made a few little minor changes to the manuscript itself. So all of that accumulated to a relaunch. So that's why we're here. And thank you guys all for coming. Still a few people logging on. So if you're just getting on now, please comment below and say hi. I am doing a giveaway of signed copy of this book. So if you comment at any point during the party, you will be entered in the giveaway. So that is the story of that. I am going to talk to you about this book, The Bear Gap Rebels, book number 2 in the series. And as you can see, I'm just going to show you, it's a bit, let's see here. Okay, so it is a bit thicker than The Sacrifice of One. It felt massive to me at the time when I wrote it. Each book I've written so far, the next one is bigger. And I don't know why, just because the story seems to need to be so much longer. This book was such a challenge for me, I'm going to be honest. It felt really huge at the time, and I cannot tell you how many revisions I did of this book. It's absolutely insane. So I originally published this book back in 2018 it was, and I think I originally started writing this book in 2016, so it took me a solid 2 years to write it. I had a completely different plot for the first year of writing this book, and I submitted a manuscript copy to my editor to do what she calls, it's called a developmental edit basically, and she doesn't look at typos or grammatical things. She looks at overall character arc and plot, plot speed, things like that. So when I submitted that to her after, I think it was probably a good year of writing this book, she basically told me it had some serious issues. And so when I got it back, I knew I had a lot of work to do on it, and I just didn't know where to go with it. So I did some major replotting, refiguring out, and it was a lot. I
would replot, and then I'd look at it, and then I'd replot again, and I'd look at it, and I knew that it needed more work. So what it was the middle of my book was really, really not great. And I had a solid beginning, I had a solid ending, but my middle was very muddled, and I spent a lot of time working through the middle of this book, and a lot of emails back and forth with my editor, and fortunately she was very patient with me and worked with me, and we eventually got it to a point where it was much more clear and concise and not so muddled. So this book was very much, just a tough project for me. And I think it's one of those things where like if I was working on this book now with like the experience I have now, it wouldn't seem so hard. But at the time, it was a huge stretch for me. I really had to stretch myself in creating a nice cohesive plot in this book. So this book, every time I look at this book, I just think of like all of the many, 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 many revisions that I did on this book. So I'm so happy that it's done, and now even with relaunching it, I've gone back through the manuscript, and every book always has like a little like typo or two that you got to fix, and just fixing those little typos and things like that, I'm like, I will take that any day over having to rewrite this book because I did it so many times. Oh, Lucy says hi. Tell Lucy I say hi too. Hi, Lucy. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. Yeah, okay. If you're just logging in now, please comment and say hi. I'm going to remind you again that if you comment, you will be entered into a giveaway to win a signed paperback copy of this book. So please go ahead and comment. So I won't draw this out on how difficult this book was, but this was a massive effort for me, this book was. So happy, but essentially, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the story itself, too. If you have already read either of these two books, comment below and let me know. If you haven't, I want you to, I just want to tell you a little bit about it. But essentially, our story starts here in The Sacrifice of One with my main character, Camilla, and she spends most of this book, she has a massive character arc where she starts very meek and mild, and by the end of it, she's essentially taking on her local government there. So that's a big stretch. And then by the time we get into this book, she's a full-blown rebel, and she has basically enlivened the rebellion again. So that is where we're at in this book. There's a lot of running in the dark in this book. That's also how I think of this book. There's a lot of fleeing and a lot of running, and they're always in the woods, and it's always dark. So, which would make sense if you were, if you were building a rebellion, you would need to run under the shadow of darkness. So, that is that book. So happy to hear that some of you guys have read it, so that's great. All right, so one thing we're going to do next, and I'm really excited about this actually, so some of you may know, some of you may not know, but yeah, exactly, go Rebels. So I created a what's called an ARC team. So ARC stands for advanced readers, basically. So when I relaunched The Sacrifice of One, for the first time ever, I built an ARC team, and I called them my street team. And basically, it's a small group of people, and I'm sure some of you are logged in here, so if you are, hi, say hi. It's a small group of people that basically read advanced copies of my books. They help with posting reviews and just like kind of generally sharing and building a buzz for my books. So my street team are awesome. I love them, and they have been a massively huge help, and I don't know why I waited 8 years to start this, but it's been such a huge help. So one of the things I do with my street team is so I utilize them. Oh, hi, Holly. I utilize them to help me if I need help with something, or if I have a question about something. I will run a contest in my street team, and I will ask them, like I think for when I did the relaunch of The Sacrifice of One, I asked them for some ideas of how, like, a unique way I could promote the book, and then whoever gave the answer that I liked the best, then they would kind of win the contest. It helps me, and it's fun for them. So this past time, for this launch, I asked my street team, what is something interesting, unique that I could do in my launch party, that's maybe different than what somebody else is doing. And anyways, long story short, I ran that contest, I guess that was about a week ago or so, maybe it was earlier this week. And the winning answer that I liked the best was to give a tour of my writing office. And it was actually Dawn, who is in the comments there, who gave that suggestion. And I really liked it. It was feasible. Sometimes the ideas would take a lot of effort. So it was feasible, and I really liked the idea. I have a writing area and I have a writing office, and I just really wanted to share it with you guys. I love that idea. So that is what we're going to do next here. So I'm going to see if I can get my I'm living on this massive iPad, so I'm going to see how I can do this. So, but essentially, I'm just going to take you guys around. This is my office here where we are, and you'll see, I'm going to show you first. Sorry guys, this whole flipped camera is really messing with me, so just bear with me, if you will. So if you see behind me, there we go. That's what I wanted to show you. So there's a bunch of boxes in here. That's the first part of our tour, which I know this is like super exciting. You're like, why are you showing me those? So I also do, on the side, I do selling on eBay and Amazon. So you will see a huge stack of boxes in here. That's what that's for. So that's the less glamorous part of my writing office. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera here, and I'm going to start by showing you, this is where I'm sitting. I'm going to start by showing you, oh wow, yeah, this flipped camera is really messing with me. I think I'm going to flip it back, guys. Give me just a second. There we go. Okay, so the writing of stuff will be backwards for you, but it makes much more sense to me. All right, so this is my writing desk. So right there, that is my Kindle. That's just an ad on there, so like ignore that. But that's my Kindle that I read from. Right there is, how do I get out of this? There we go, okay. Right there is, so those are 4x6 cards. I use 4x6 cards for everything, so I have a huge stack of them. Natalie is asking, what do you sell on eBay and Amazon? It's a huge variety of things. Oh, hi, Emily. Welcome. It's a huge variety of things that I sell. eBay is more like high-priced items, and then Amazon is more smaller-priced items. I'll just put it that way. But it's a massive variety of things. I don't have like really a niche. Yeah, exactly what Noah says. I sell whatever sells. Okay, anyways, I'm going to move on. That is my lovely wedding picture that's on my desk. So this here is very important to me, very sentimental to me. So this picture frame has a picture of a book on it that says Untitled by Emily Fortney. So a very, very good friend of mine took this picture for me. I think she worked it up in Photoshop or something like that, and put it in this frame for me. And this was before I had written any book. And this was, I guess, just sort of her encouragement to me to, go write that book. So this is an actual picture of I think it's a Barnes & Noble bookshelf. And she basically gave this to me and said, this is going to be your book someday, sitting on that shelf. So I keep this on my writing desk. It's very sentimental to me. And I love it. And then below that is a little note. I'm going to flip this back so you guys can see me. My Grammy was actually the first person to read through the Bear Gap Rebels, like way back when it was still pretty rough, but she read it through for me. And when she gave it back to me, she typed up like just like her comments on it. And I'll go back here. So that little thing, that's just the bottom of the letter that she gave back to me. I kept it, and I taped it on there, and she signed it lovingly, Grammy. So I keep it on there. Grammy has passed on, so I do miss her a lot, and I just keep that there as encouragement to me and to remember that she did get to read that book, and it just meant a lot to me. So over here, normal stuff, that's my little diffuser I have going. But I'll show you guys, this is comment if you know what NaNoWriMo is. I would be curious. Maybe not know what it is. Comment if you know what it is or if you've participated in it. But these are all of my NaNoWrimo certificates, essentially. I'll give you guys a minute to comment if you know what it is, and then I'll let you know what it is if you don't. Up there, this picture was given to me by another good friend of mine. It says, this may be backwards for you guys, I'm not sure now. I'm not sure of anything, but it says, good writers borrow from other writers. Great writers steal from them outright. So a good friend gave that to me. And there's definitely some truth to that. We get inspiration from all sorts of places. And if you've never watched the YouTube video, Everything is a Remix, you need to go watch it as soon as this live is over, because it's an awesome video, especially if you're in any sort of creative arts environment. So some people know, some people don't know. All right, I'll tell you guys in a minute. And then this is a lovely little painting that my husband bought for me. It's just so cute. It's like a little magical book, and I love it. So this right here is our lovely little recliner. I do a lot of actual writing sitting in that recliner. It's comfortable, and my cat likes to sit on the armrest there, and he'll sit right next to me while I'm writing. And speaking of my cat, he just took my seat. So say hi. His name is Felipe. He's often in here with me, so it's not a surprise that he's in here and that he took my seat. So moving past this is my desk. I really, honestly, I do not do a lot of actual writing at this desk, believe it or not. This is more for like admin type of work. I don't write well sitting at a desk or a table. I will from occasion, but I've got to be in a comfy seat, legs crossed or legs propped up, and doing my work that way. Over here is my, oh boy, I need to back up. Over here is my bookshelf. I don't know if you guys know, but, oh, hi TJ. I don't know if you guys know, but if you've seen some of my posts before, yeah, sorry Sarah, no pictures of you, I don't think, at least. I'm obsessed with office supplies, so you can see that's my huge stack of of notebooks. I have an issue with office supplies. So, and then these are all of my books. I am not a massive book hoarder. I only keep the books that I truly love and would reread and things like that. But basically this shelf here this is all of my many notebooks right here. Hi TJ, he's saying hi. And then this is sort of like writing related books up there, and then the rest of the shelves are pleasure reading books. And then see if there's anything else notable over here. This little red thingy is where I file a lot of my character profiles and maps and things like that I use for writing. I got to a point where I had to keep it like somewhat organized, so that's what's going on in there. And then oh no, there is actually one other thing. This is not the last thing, the second to last. This is the same friend that did the picture frame for me, also made this for me. This is a pretty famous saying in the writing world. Oh good. Natalie says I've inspired her to declutter. I don't know. I think it's still pretty cluttered in here. I'm just not showing it all to you guys. Anyways, this is a pretty famous saying. It's kill your darlings. Essentially what it means is, I'll bring you guys back over so you can see me. Essentially what it means is when you're writing, most writers will tend to write way more than what they need to, and the story will become long and convoluted. And it's one of those things that you learn as a writer, is to decide what's important and what can be cut. So kill your darlings is just, sometimes you gotta cut that thing that you loved writing and that you felt like was such an awesome scene, but ultimately needs to go. So I tell myself this all the time when I'm doing edits. If it doesn't really need to be in the story, it needs to go. So kill your darlings, and you can apply that to many other things in your life as well. Last but not least is, I covered up the spoilers over there, but this is my plot for The Dark Ruler, which is the new book that I'm working on right now. And I will often put these, oh, that's what this is down here. I was going to show you guys that too. So I use those giant Post-its right there. You can see I have a whole bunch of them. I use those giant Post-its all the time to do plotting and other things like that. So that is what that is over there. I'm going to bring you guys back. So that is basically my office tour. I do a fair amount of writing on this recliner over here, but I also will frequently write on the couch or on my bed even. So, like I said, I don't write super well up at like a table or a desk. I have to be comfortable. It's the way it is. So anyways, I promised I would tell you guys about Nanowrimo. That was my certificates that were over here on the side. Nanowrimo stands for National Novel Writing Month. And it's in November, and essentially what you do, anybody can participate, but the goal is that you write 50,000 words within the month of November. It's super fun. A lot of people do it just for fun. A lot of serious writers do it too, and whoops, that is essentially how I got started writing. I think it was like October 31st, so like the day before NaNoWriMo was supposed to start, or did start, was the first time I had heard about it. This was back in 2012, and I don't even know how I found it, but I was just like, I don't know, I think maybe I like writing, and I think that night at midnight I literally started. So if anybody listening thinks that they might like writing or just want to do it for fun, highly encourage you to start with NaNoWriMo. It's super fun. Even if you don't meet the 50,000 words, it's okay. It's still fun. You're writing with a ton of other people, and NaNoWriMo basically encourages you to just write. Even if you think what you've just written is terrible, that's okay. Just keep writing and keep moving on. And when you're a new writer in particular, that is really, really important to do that. So yeah, so that's NaNoWriMo. That was my office. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the office tour here. If I want to remind you guys, if you're just logging on, I've seen a few people come and go, so if you're just on here new, please comment and you'll be put in the giveaway for the signed copy of the Bear Gap Rebels. Also want to encourage you, if you haven't bought a copy yet, please go and buy a copy. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, it's available on all those platforms. On Amazon, it's only 99 cents for the Kindle version, and that really, really helps my my algorithms, basically. Dawn is asking NaNoWriMo. No, it's you got the nano part, and then it's WRIMO. So it's like National Novel Writing Month. That's what that stands for. I don't even know if it's pronounced NaNoWriMo. That's how I pronounce it. I've heard other people pronounce it different ways, but it's National Novel Writing Month is what that stands for. So that's that. Let's do a Q&A session. Q&A session open to anybody who wants to ask me anything about my writing office, about my book, about anything. So if you have a question for me after we do the Q&A session, I will. Yes, Holly got it right. And I think it's like, I don't even know what the website is. I don't know if it's NaNoWriMo. I know it's .org, whatever it is. I'm not sure if it's NaNoWriMo.org or if it's nationalnovelwritingmonth.org, but whatever it is, it's NaNoWriMo. If you Google it, you will find it. It's huge. So it's a worldwide thing. So, okay. So I'm going to do the Q&A session. I see that Natalie has a question. I'm going to answer her question. And then I'm going to, after we do the Q&A session, I'm going to read a little tiny excerpt out of here. So get your comments in now, get your questions in now, and that'll be it. All right. Natalie is asking, when will you have the audio available so we can listen to it? Yes, I get asked this a lot, actually. I would absolutely love to have my books in audio, not just because I am a huge audiobook listener, but I would love to do the narrating for my own books. I was a broadcasting major in college, so I love doing that kind of stuff. I love broadcasting and reading. I'll really love when I get to read to you guys out loud because I love that kind of stuff. So producing an audiobook is sort of expensive, essentially. That's the gist of it. And I just don't have the money to do that right now. So I am self-published, so I would be footing the bill on all of that, which in that case, because I would be footing the bill, it means I would also make the most money when they do start selling, but that there is an upfront cost. So I would need a studio and some other things like that. Some of it is time too, but I do have 100% full plans to put my books into audiobooks so that they are available. and I would love to provide that for you guys. It's something I would personally love to do. So they're coming. Just trying to gather together the funds, sell a few more paperback copies and things like that, so that I can have some of the funds to put that into audiobooks. So I appreciate that question, Natalie. That is a great question. Sarah asks, how do you plan your foreshadowing? What? And Camilla in prequel? I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, i.e. Tor and Camilla in the prequel. Oh, I see what you're asking. So, how did I plan? Are you asking me, like, how did I plan the prequel story? Like, what happens in The Faintly Beating Heart? I think that's what you're asking. Let me know if that's what you mean. I'm going to assume that that's what she means. So, as I said at the top of this live, was that this book, The Faintly Beating Heart, oh, that's okay. I'll answer your question. This book came first. This was the first book I wrote, and this happens, so this book happens 12 years before this book happens. There's a 12-year gap between these. In this book, this is not Camilla on the cover. In this book, Camilla and her older brother Tor are they're little. I can't think of their age exactly, like 5, I think. They're like little kids. So I think what she's asking me is, how did I come up with this story before I wrote the other story? So the story of Camilla was the first story that I came up with in my brain. And I actually wrote that story. So I wrote what I would consider probably like a combination of the first 3 books in my series, and I wrote it into one book. And it was obviously a mess, and it was not great. But what I did was I wrote all that. I think that was my first Nanowrimo book that I wrote. I wrote all of that, and then I was like, I think I need to go back a little further. And so I had actually written a draft of that first, and then I went back and I kind of started from square one, and I started with this, where's the origin story, essentially, is where I started. And then that's when I wrote this book, and this was just the first thing that I, like, completed, like, actually brought it to completion, edited it, and got it into good shape. And as you can see, it's a pretty short story, and this was just the first thing that I published. So I definitely wrote Camilla's main story first, and then went back, and I knew there was a lot more to do with her mother, which I won't give away any spoilers if you haven't read the books yet, but I knew there was a lot more going on with her mom, so I needed to go back and kind of write that story. So that was a long answer to answer your question. Let's see here. Noah asks, what was the biggest darling you had to kill? Oh dear. That is a great question. I would say there were some really, really cool scenes in the Bear Gap Rebel. Remember I told you guys that I had worked off of a totally different plot the first time I wrote this book? There were some really cool scenes that I was convinced these scenes were in this book. This is essential to this book, and as I wrote the story, I realized that they really weren't. They were either just unimportant or didn't actually happen when I really sat down and thought about it. Whenever I think about a book, I always imagine certain scenes in my head, but then oftentimes when I go to actually write the book, it turns out that they're really not, they're really not a part of the story. They're just part of my fantasy imagination. I will tell you right now, a little side story. I'm working on the next book in the series, which is The Dark Ruler. I've gotten to a point in my writing where I now know I have multiple scenes that I pictured being in The Dark Ruler, but I just haven't even written them because I know that at the end they're really not a part. So I don't even write them anymore. I've gotten to the point where I've learned, like, that's just going to be a thing I'm going to have to cut later. It's a cool scene, but it's not essential to the plot, and it would just slow my story down. So I've gotten to a point where I guess, matured a little bit in that way to learn, like, it's really not that important and I just need to let it go. So, yeah, there were a lot of darlings I had to kill in this book, for sure. Okay, Natalie asks, how did you come up with the names? I think I got asked this question before, but so some of the names were names that I just heard in my life and I liked them and I wrote them down. But a lot of my names, a lot of the way I come up with names now, because I kind of ran out of all of the names I liked on my list, so a lot of the names I use now are, I do them on like a name generator. So if you go online and you Google like fantasy name generator, it will do like, it'll randomize names for you. I will sit there for like way too long. I love doing that, and I will just click through and I will look at all of these names, and some of them are like hilarious and dumb, but then every once in a blue moon you'll get a really good one. I've used a lot of my I've gotten a lot of my names through doing that. So I wish it was more exciting than that, but I just love those random name generators. I think that they're super fun. So, all right, last call. Any more questions for the Q&A session? Anything specifically about this or about anything else? If not, we're going to move on, and I'm going to read you guys all an excerpt from this book. Oh, hold on. Dawn has a question. Do you have a map you can share of the... I do, yes. Do I have that map handy? If I had it within arm's reach, I would actually show it to you. But yes, I have a map that I sketched myself. I know there are some like map building things out there online that I'd like to use. I've had writer friends use them before, and I think most of them are free too, and I need to just do it. But I do have a hand sketched one that I'll share that on Instagram. So if you want to see that, hop on my Instagram and I'll share that with you guys there. So yes, that's a great question. So I have sketched out basically just Bear Gap. So the book I'm working on now, The Dark Ruler, we leave Bear Gap. So she's actually in a totally different section of my world, and I haven't sketched any of that yet. But I do have a pretty decent sketch of Bear Gap, which shows Randy, it shows Village, it shows Camilla's house, it shows Knox's house, it shows Johnny's house, and Mirabelle's house. So Linden Place, all those sorts of things. The farm, obviously, they're all on there. So I will post that on Instagram. So if you want to see that, check that out. I'll do that next week. Next time I come over, I want you to... Oh, you want to do a live with me? Okay, we can do that, Natalie. Sounds like fun. All right, guys, we're getting to the end here, so I'm going to read you an excerpt. If you haven't read this book yet, that's okay. I'm not doing any spoilers. I'm actually going to start with chapter 1. I really thought about what part of this book I wanted to share, and there's just way too many spoilers at the end of the book. So I'm actually just going to start with chapter 1 and read you guys a couple of pages from that. If you've only read The Sacrifice of One, you'll be fine. You won't get any spoilers. And if you haven't read anything yet, I still think you'll be fine. So no worries. Sit back, relax, and listen to the first couple pages of The Bear Gap Rebels. All right, chapter 1. I'm losing my mind. Like a parasite to its host, the voice echoing around in my head is attached so firmly that I'm utterly hopeless in removing it. Distraction works only for a moment, and then I start hearing it again. I haven't told anyone, not even Tor. I've tried everything to keep myself from going crazy, but I'm afraid it's too late. I'm losing my mind, and I can't do anything about it. I stand alone in the dark woods halfway between Village, where I'm supposed to go, and Randy, where I want to go. A shiver runs its way up my back. I flex my hands in and out to fight against my body's cravings. Rain trickles through the leaves, falling in big droplets on my hair. Normally, weather like this would drive me inside, but I've become like a rabid animal, unaware of and unimpeded by my surroundings. They're all expecting me at the meeting in Village. If I don't show up, they'll know something is wrong. I'm sure Johnny would come looking for me. He put his own life in danger. He could be arrested and killed, and it would be my fault. I tell myself. I can't go to Randy, not now. It's sheer pain turning my back on Randy, the one place I'm meant to be. Something in my home village calls to me. It feels wrong not to get it now. Resisting the urge to run to Randy is like refusing food after days of not eating. It's unnatural, but I do it. I push myself toward Village, insisting to myself I'll ignore the voice until the meeting's over. My contemplation in the woods has made me late. I jog through the trees until the street lamps come into view. I hurry nervously down a back alley, my wet feet sloshing from one dirty puddle to another. Rain gushes from the lightning-flecked sky. It's past working hours, but there's still a faint glow emanating from the window of a Warwick-owned leather shop. I stop outside the back door and pull hard on its thick wooden handle. The door doesn't yield to my tug. I glance to my left, then to my right. No one wanders the alleys this time of night, especially not when days of rain have turned this street into a permanent mud slick. My feet feel as though they're sinking into the earth. Heavy droplets ooze from the crest of my head, around the back of my ear, and down my neck. Knock, I tell myself, before the rain washes this row of buildings away. I raise a shaky hand, curl my fingers into a tight fist, and knock twice, very quietly. And I hear nothing inside. The steady, muffled deluge of water drowns out all my other senses. The chilly air knifes me through my jacket. The door eases open, and a tall, broad-shouldered man stares at me. He has a short, trimmed mustache that curls ever so slightly at the ends. This must be Ivan. Knox described his acquaintance in village as an honorable man that deserves our respect. Ivan's hard face and unflinching glare are certainly characteristics that Knox would be impressed by. Knox didn't say anything about Ivan's stern demeanor, or that he has to be close to 6 feet tall with a neck thicker than a maple tree. "The leather shop's closed, ma'am," Ivan says coldly. I clear my throat and remind myself that I'm stepping into a highly dangerous meeting that Knox didn't even want me coming to. Pennies to pass? Ivan watches me a moment longer before widening the door and allowing me just enough space to enter. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop. I don't want to go any further because I don't want to give anything away. But if you'd like to know what happens at this Rebel meeting, please make sure you go buy the Bear Gap Rebels. It is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple Books. And, oh, I'm sorry, Dawn, you don't have an Instagram. Bummer. I'll post it on Facebook, too. Don't worry about it. I'll post it in all the places, so no worries. One more thing I want to say to you guys before I let you go. Well, 2 things, actually. Make sure you comment below if you haven't yet to be entered to win the signed copy of the Bear Gap Rebels. You can say anything. You can just say hi. But I wanted to talk to you guys really quick before I let you go about my next upcoming book, which is The Dark Ruler. So this book does come next after the Bear Gap Rebels. It is a work in progress. So we're going to see the Bear Gap Rebels is very obviously all about the rebellion and Camilla building that up, and then we're going to find out what happens in the next chapter of that. So I am working very diligently on that book right now. I have a pretty major announcement about this book coming up really soon. I wanted to wait until we got past this relaunch before I told you guys. I'm not going to tell you now, but I will be I will be writing a blog post really soon about it. So look for that. And I hope that you guys will join me when I launch that book. I'm really excited about it. It's been such an awesome book to write. So I will keep you guys all up to speed on that. Please make sure you go buy the Bear Gap Rebels. And I think I will have the Dark Ruler up for pre-order. I'm still working on that, but I think I will make that available for pre-order so that you can actually order that ahead of time. Was there anything else I was going to say? I don't think so. Any last questions, comments? Now's your time. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much for coming to the launch party for the Bear Gap Rebels. Please go buy it, and appreciate all you guys' support. I know I've got a lot of street team members on here, so thank you guys so much for coming. And for everybody else, thank you so much for coming. Bye. Say bye. All right.